You have to see in a building something different than what it is. You have to see its potential. Having the capital, the vision, the creativity, and then when you get a product like the Ampersand or the Edison and you've repositioned it from a sleepy, old, forgotten asset into one of the most exciting assets in this market, that's when we get really excited about what we get to do. Aspen came to be in the late 90s. There was a public company out of Vancouver that wanted to create a real estate division. I interviewed with the CEO of the public company and it seemed like there was a good fit. I really liked where Alberta was in the cycle and the Alberta advantage. I wanted Aspen to be created in this province. So I started Aspen in a boardroom of a friend of the company's with a cell phone and no employees and a dream. And that's how it began. Real estate was in favor as an asset class. So there was a lot of excitement in the industry. The public equity markets were open for real estate. So we thought we'd bring me in and I'd raise a bunch of capital through the public markets. And the second I moved to Canada, the public markets closed. So it was like, we better pivot. We better figure this thing out. And somehow you do. We had a little capital. We invested in a piece of land in the Eau Claire district where the French Maid was. We assembled 2 parcels of land to get an entire city block, which arguably at the time would have been the best development site in all of the city, in possibly all of the province, because of the size of the property now. You could build anything you want on that block. And I went to the best developer in the country. I'll sell you half, but I have to manage it. 6 or 7, 8 years later, Greg and I and Aspen sold them the other half. So some of those stories happened. We took some leverage and some really savvy little investments, and the market skated us on side, and suddenly we were refinancing and selling assets at really crazy numbers. And then we bought this company called Consolidated Properties that was completely overrepresented on the valuation. And Greg and I sat down and figured out that we were in a pickle. We didn't have what we thought we had when we bought the company. So we had to really roll our sleeves up and reposition that. And at one point, one of our directors thought that maybe we were going to go bankrupt. And I remember my resolve and Greg's resolve walking out of that boardroom and going, we'll prove him wrong. So those early years, I made mistake after mistake. And even though it doesn't look like you grow a lot, we matured every day because we were so green. We were so small. To go from like 1 or 2 employees to 15 is a massive growth. And that happened in the first year. 2008 was an interesting time because the market late in 2008 completely tanked before the markets crashed. We saw a number of things. And so we sold about $800 million of assets at the peak of the market at a higher valuation than they've been since. And we looked pretty smart for having done that. There's other times in our career that we were buying and the market was falling apart and we didn't look that smart. So that's the way business works. There was a moment that we shifted as an organization. And I think Greg and Rob and I will all remember this moment as a definition of who we are today. We lost a pitch to a really big tenant at the Edison. It was a cool company that was growing in Calgary, and today it's a unicorn. When we lost that pitch, we flew to Silicon Valley and we asked some friends of ours to tour us all the coolest buildings. And we toured Google, and it had a slide down the middle of the lobby, and we looked at the new Apple building that was being built. And at that very time, we reinvented ourselves. We started putting amenities in. We went anti-corporate, and it changed everything for us. We redesigned the Edison. We took the plans that were in place, and we said, no, if what we're building isn't playful and completely different, we're not going to do it. Today, we're the innovators. We're first to market on lots of things like our technology investment. We went from more of an industry follower to an industry leader because we lost that tenant. And we learned more from our mistakes than what we got right. If I reflect on 25 years, I'm grateful for having survived. I'm grateful for the people I've worked with, the friendships, for living in this province, and for having the opportunity to add value to our community. I'm just a grateful guy for having been part of creating something that's really quite special.